The new video that came out with Alex Pretti getting aggressive with officers is relevant to what happened 11 days later. It may be critical, but not for the reasons you think. This was a bad look for Alex Pretti. He was spitting, kicking the taillight of a federal vehicle. If everybody did what Alex Pretti did that day, 11 days before the fatal encounter, that would have been a riot. That would have been a riot. Pretti crossed the line. And I think officers used appropriate force 11 days before this fatal encounter with Pretti. He's lucky he didn't get arrested for various charges. Now, let's talk. He had a gun in that encounter 11 days before. This blows up the Trump administration's theory that 11 days later he was there to massacre officers. He was there to do maximum damage. He seemed to always carry a gun because the day he was hot as fish grease, he didn't pull that gun. He did not in any way reach for that gun. The gun was there legally and he didn't use it. And I think that makes the case that he wasn't planning on using it the day he was killed. And I think it blows up the administration's theory. So why is the video relevant? I had a hard time figuring out why these officers in the fatal encounter were so aggressive toward Pretti. We talked about this earlier. He was clearly an annoyance to them. He was standing in the street. He was videotaping. He was told to go back on the sidewalk. He went back on the street. And I get that they'd be annoyed. But the officers had their eyes on these two women who were blowing whistles and pushed them to the ground. The officers were angry at them. As soon as Pretti came over, these officers ignored the women and they went all onto Pretti. And even though it seemed to me, well, maybe they just were annoyed by his presence, it felt like it was a bigger reaction than that. So think about it. If Alex Pretti was there 11 days before, so committed that he got violent, kicking the taillight off, spitting, doing all that, did Alex Pretti show up 10 days before, 9 days before, 8 days before, 4 days before? How many times did Alex Pretti show up between the 11-day mark and the fatal encounter? And the reason I ask that is we know that these were two different agencies, the one 11 days before and the fatal encounter. But did he, in those 11 days, encounter some of the people who ended up pouncing on him and killing him during that 11-day period? Are there videos that show Alex Pretti at the scene 8 days before, 7 days before, 6 days before? Are there videos that show they knew who he was? They had encountered him. He was an annoyance. He was also an imposing figure. He's a tall guy. He's unique. And he was wearing the same thing, at least in those 2 days. So could it be those officers had seen him before during that 11-day period? Because Pretti was clearly angry and willing to step out in front of the crowd. So did they see him, and had they reached a boiling point by the time the fatal encounter occurred? Because it seems to me, when you look at that fatal encounter, when officers saw that gun wasn't a threat. That gun was an excuse. I'm going to say that again. The gun wasn't a threat to the officers. Maybe it was an excuse for them to do what they wanted to do because they were so angry at this guy, because otherwise it just doesn't make sense. So we need to see the videos during that 11-day period. And we need to see if the people who ended up on top of Pretti and shooting Pretti knew that he was part of the protest and even in front of the protest at times, did they know who he was? Because that's going to be relevant in determining exactly what kind of a shooting was this. Was it justified or was it murder? We need to see the videos to determine that.